bountiful harvests we made this month, a tour of our California garden, some interesting things to do, review of some cool gardening products, all this and a lot more in today's episode of California Gardening. We will begin with all the harvests we made, followed by our garden tour, and then the things to do this month, and review of some cool gardening products. So let's begin with all the harvests we made this month, beginning with cilantro. This month we grew our cilantro in this hydroponic system, and I'll put in a link in the video description for you to check out this product. But this lets me grow cilantro all year round inside the home very easily. You can see how quickly the cilantro has grown, and we're going to be harvesting this cilantro from this hydroponic system. And herbs like cilantro are extremely easy to grow in such hydroponic systems with grow lights. It just makes things a lot easier. The nutrition and water is controlled. It's basically a nutrient-rich solution that you're growing your plants in. And since you're growing them indoors, they'll grow very well and you can keep harvesting them as you need it. And even after completely harvesting your cilantro, they will just keep coming back. So you can expect to harvest about 3 or 4 times from these cilantro plants before you need to remove and replace them. And I always have a set of seeds ready so that once I harvest all the cilantro, I can have new seedlings put in and they will again grow into plants that produce more cilantro. But all in all, having fresh cilantro in your home is extremely nice. They're very flavorful, very nice when you grow them at home. And here you can see our cilantro harvest. It looks beautiful. Fresh cilantro grown right inside your home. And now let's move on to the black beauty eggplant. We were growing our black beauty eggplant in our container in our whiskey barrels, which you have been seeing. And here is our harvest. As you can see, these black beauty eggplants, they look awesome. They are quite large eggplants. And we have been growing these eggplants in this whiskey barrel container for quite some time. And it's producing a lot of eggplants, as you can see. Now this is probably the month where the harvest will either slow down or just stop because it's quite cold here now in Southern California. But you can see these black beauty eggplants, they look absolutely amazing. And I'll keep this plant, I'll try to overwinter this plant for the next season. Now we were able to harvest eggplants from this plant multiple times. And each time we got a very good looking, very delicious harvest. We also had our Indian eggplant that was growing in the container. And while not as productive as the black beauty eggplant, it still produced a few eggplants. And here you can see a large one that we harvested. Looks quite good. And we had our Japanese eggplant. This Japanese eggplant was growing in our green-stalk planter. And the green-stalk planter had one big advantage over other planters, which is the fact that it's elevated. And due to this elevation, the plant received a lot more sunlight and a lot more warmth compared to the other plants we had. And you can see the result. These eggplants are quite amazing. There are a lot of eggplants produced in this plant. And the plant is quite large as well. So for those of you who are looking to grow plants in a small space, the green-stalk planter is a great choice. Here you can see our Japanese eggplants. They look quite good. And our millionaire eggplant, which is one of our favorite eggplant varieties to grow. You can see here the millionaire eggplant was producing a few eggplants, but as you can clearly see, after the Santa Ana winds, the plant has taken a lot of stress. And this will probably be our last harvest before the winter season sets in. But you can see all these eggplants, they look quite good, very beautiful and very delicious eggplants. Let's now move on to fenugreek. We were growing our fenugreek greens in our raised bed. And while you can grow fenugreek very easily in containers, even in very small containers, we were growing ours on the raised bed. And you can look at the harvest. You need to harvest fenugreek greens when they reach this size that you see here. They taste quite good when they are of this size rather than waiting too long in which case they may become bitter in taste. This is the best time to harvest it. As you can see, they're about 4 to 6 inches in length. And the fenugreek greens, they taste just amazing when harvested at this stage. Now you can look up a lot of recipes on how to use fenugreek greens, but if you haven't tried out fenugreek greens, you should give it a shot. It has a very unique taste, and it also has a lot of vitamins and minerals that are extremely good for health. And you can look at our harvest here, looks quite good. Very nice fresh fenugreek greens. Moving on to ivy gourd. The ivy gourd plant was still producing ivy gourds, to my surprise, because it's been quite cool here in Southern California in November. And you can see the ivy gourds, they are still producing quite well. Beautiful looking ivy gourd from this plant. And most likely end of December or maybe January, I will be trimming this plant and putting in a nice new trellis for this plant, hopefully. But you can see here the ivy gourds, they are quite loaded with the gourds. They've produced a lot of gourds, as you can see. And this plant gets a lot of the afternoon and evening sun, which is why the plant has produced a lot of good fruit. And remember that you do need a good amount of sunlight for the ivy gourds to produce the gourds like these. But all in all, I was quite happy with the ivy gourd production in November, considering the temperatures during this month. We had an excellent harvest, as you can see here. Jalapenos. November was the last month we harvested jalapenos, not only from our raised bed, which you see here. The plants in the raised beds were doing okay, but slowing down for sure. But you can see the jalapenos here, they look quite good. And we also harvested some jalapenos from our greenstock planter. Kale. We had a few kale plants growing in our last raised bed. And this was an aphid magnet. We had a lot of aphids on this kale plant that were affecting all the other nearby plants as well. So we decided to take these plants off. Now, while you can harvest kale by just removing the leaves from the side, we actually wanted to get rid of the plant just because it had a severe aphid infestation problem. Now, I was spraying this plant. It's not that you cannot control aphids on kale, but since it was affecting all the nearby plants, we decided to get rid of it. Luffas. One of the best harvests we had last month continued into this month as well. The Santa Ana winds again had a very bad effect on the plant. The leaves were all gone, but you can still see the luffas. They're still being produced, and these luffas are absolutely delicious. Now we left a couple of luffa gourds to dry out. As you can see here, these have matured. They are very fibrous. And once they dry, you can use them as sponges or scrubs. Mustard greens. One of my favorite greens to grow in the garden. Mustard greens are extremely nice, very good tasting greens. This particular variety is the Southern Giant curled variety, also called the Indian mustard. And this is a very flavorful mustard variety. Nice green leaves. Very unique taste. These mustard leaves have a very unique taste. You can eat them raw, you can cook them as well. These are mostly cooked before eating, and they make some really good dishes. And you can keep harvesting mustard just like this. Just remove the leaves from the side, and the leaves will grow back into more mustard greens. But you can look at our harvest, it looks quite amazing. Okra. While we didn't have a lot of okra growing, the final few okras from our jambalaya okra are being harvested here. And the okra still did very good to produce pods up to November. You can see these okras, they look quite good. And peanuts. One of the most interesting things we harvested this month were peanuts. And we just grew a few plants in our raised bed. And you can see here these peanuts, they form below the ground, as you can see. They look quite interesting. And growing peanuts will not only get you peanuts, of course, you can harvest the peanuts, but it's also a very interesting experience to just watch how the peanut plant grows. Because a lot of times we overlook the importance of the peanut. But this is how the pods are formed. The pods have the peanuts inside them. And once the plant is dry, you can harvest it. And we're going to be washing this plant quite well. And after washing, you can see the peanuts, they look fresh and nice. And while we did not get a lot of peanuts, because of the fact that we just grew a few plants, you can plant a lot of peanuts and get a ton of peanuts harvested very easily. So all we did is we got some peanuts from the grocery store and then planted these peanuts in the ground. And we got these amazing peanuts. So it's extremely easy to grow peanuts at home. You should try it out. It's extremely easy. And fresh peanuts, they taste very nice as well. And I'll hopefully have a complete growing guide to growing peanuts on my channel. And once you have washed the peanuts, you can just remove all the pods. These are the pods that contain the peanuts. Peanuts are also called groundnuts because they grow under the ground. But whether you call it peanuts or groundnuts, these nuts are quite amazing, very nice tasting, and you can easily grow them at home. And I hope this inspires you to grow peanuts at home. Hot peppers. We were growing some hot peppers in our green stalk planter, and this is the dragon cayenne pepper. We got a few cayenne peppers harvested from this plant. And once again, the production of peppers had slowed down in November, but we still got a few peppers, hot peppers, as you can see. Pineapple. One of our favorite fruits we harvested this month was pineapple. And this is our same pineapple plant that you have seen in our video reviews earlier. You can see the pineapple, it looks quite beautiful. And homegrown pineapples taste extremely sweet, extremely flavorful. And you can see here our pineapple is not huge like the ones you find in the fields, but organically grown pineapple is just amazing. It's got a nice aroma, very nice taste as well, and something you can easily grow in your home garden. The plants also look beautiful. And let's just cut open this pineapple to show you how it looks like. So once you cut off the top, you can plant this as a separate plant and grow it into a complete pineapple plant. Let's just cut open this pineapple to show you how beautiful this is. And as you can see, beautiful looking pineapple, very nice sweet flesh. And after chopping it up, you can see it looks quite good. So I highly recommend you grow pineapples at home. They are a joy to grow in your home garden. Minoves radish. If you have been following our harvest videos, you might have seen that we grew a lot of this Minoves radish in our container, our whiskey barrel container. And we are harvesting some of those radishes now. And these are going to be the final set of radish from these whiskey barrel containers. As you can see, they are quite good sized radish and they grow very well in these containers. So we harvested all the radishes we had in this container. And you can look at the harvest. This is how the radishes look like. Quite beautiful, nice long roots that are very flavorful. Spinach. We were growing the pale green variety of spinach in our raised beds as well as the containers. And here you can see the harvest from the raised bed. Now just like we harvested mustard, you can harvest spinach leaves just like that from the sides. And once you harvest these spinach leaves, they will grow back into bigger plants very soon. So all we're doing is just snipping off the leaves from the side, as you see here. And you can see the harvest here looks quite good. And this spinach will grow back very quickly in just a few days. And here we are. In just a few days, you can see that the leaves have grown back and we are again harvesting the spinach leaves. Now this is a very delicious spinach variety. It has a nice buttery taste and it is definitely one of the best spinach varieties I have grown. And since this is an heirloom variety, I will be saving seeds for this spinach plant from the ones growing in the container. And you can look at the leaves here, they are quite good to look at, and the taste once again is a nice buttery taste. You can see the leaves have grown back once again. And we had some fenugreek growing on the side, which we harvested and replaced with some carrot seeds. But as we are harvesting the spinach, you can see how easy it is to grow spinach. It grows pretty much throughout the season. And you can keep harvesting the leaves and get more and more leaves, extending your spinach harvest to almost the entire season. And once again, you can look at a harvest here, it looks quite nice. And spring onions, also called bunching onions or green onions, are onions with extremely small bulbs that can be harvested in about 60 to 90 days since planting. And we were growing all of these bunching onions in our green stalk planter, as you can see. The green stalk planter is just amazing to grow 2 or 3 green onions per slot, and this is what we did. And you can look at how nicely the roots have developed in the planter. And when you have nice deep roots like this, your plant will absorb a lot of nutrients, a lot of minerals from the soil. And you can look at our harvest after cleaning up these onions. It looks quite good, and spring onions are excellent to eat raw. And last but not the least, we have tomatoes. We were growing our tomatoes in our raised beds. We still kept our plants on our raised beds. As you can see here, the plants were producing quite a lot of large tomatoes. Most of these are the Bonnie Select hybrid tomatoes that grow quite well. And some of the salsa tomato variety, also by Bonnie plants. And as you can see, these tomato plants, they receive quite a lot of sunlight. And this is key in growing tomatoes late in the season. You need to make sure that you plant your tomatoes in a spot that gets plenty of sunshine. And that ensures that the plants will keep producing fruits and they will also ripen quickly. Now, if the fruits don't ripen completely, you can still harvest them and they will ripen on the shelf. You can see some of these fruits here, they're not completely ripe. And some of them have a little crack on them on the top. And that's due to the cold weather. And that's perfectly normal. These tomatoes are still very delicious. So I will be keeping this plant for 1 more month just to see how this goes. And you can see the harvest, it looks quite nice. And we also harvested some cherry tomatoes. This cherry tomato was growing in our container and it seemed to be producing quite a lot of cherry tomatoes. And you can see these look quite good as well. And finally, we had our chocolate sprinkles tomato. These tomatoes were growing in the green stalk planter. And you can look at these tomatoes. These are a cherry type tomato that grew quite well. And once again, the elevation in the planter helped them absorb a lot of sunlight, and the plant grew quite a lot of cherry tomatoes. And these chocolate sprinkle tomatoes are also very delicious. They have a very unique flavor. Now you can also see the plant supports that are around the green stalk planter, and these plant supports are excellent in growing plants like tomatoes. And you can check out my detailed review on the green stalk planter. This is an amazing piece of equipment for all gardeners. It helps you grow a lot of plants in a very small space. And we were able to harvest these chocolate sprinkles tomatoes many times during this month. And our harvest here looks quite good. Let's now take a tour of our garden, beginning with the raised beds. We just sowed some carrot seeds here in the first bed. We already have some spinach greens that are growing. And some brassicas, some broccoli, some kohlrabi, as you can see here. The kohlrabi bulb is now forming up quite well. And we have some radish seedlings here in the center. 2 rows of radish. And then we have all our onions. We have some red onions, and then most of the other onions are the bunching onions or the green onions that we will be harvesting sooner. And on the other side we have our beefsteak tomato plant. This is one of our few tomato plants remaining in November now. And on the other side, the second bed, you can see that there are a lot of onions. And we also sowed some more seeds. These are again carrot seeds that we sowed here. We also have some garlic plants in between. You can see that on the outer edge. These are the beets. The beets are growing quite well. And some potatoes that have been growing on the other side. And this is our garlic, the elephant garlic, growing quite well now. And our potato plants that are growing quite well. And on the other bed, we have our mustard greens. You saw us harvesting those mustard greens. And we also have our brassicas, cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, romanesco, all of these in this bed. And you can see our cauliflower. There's one cauliflower head that's appearing now. And we still have a couple of pepper plants left in that bed. Now on the next bed, we have a lot of kohlrabi plants. These are the white kohlrabi. They're growing quite well. We sowed some pea seeds towards the trellis. And we still have a few tomatoes left. On this bed we have a few plants, and you can see the tomatoes. It's still loaded with tomatoes. And they are beginning to ripen now. So I will leave these tomato plants as is, unless they die completely. And we sowed some more seeds in between. These are radish and carrot seeds. And towards the end, we have more spinach seedlings. We started a lot of spinach seedlings. So these are some more spinach plants that are growing towards the edge of the raised bed. And in our final bed, we have purple kohlrabi on this side. You can see here these seedlings were extremely small, but now they are beginning to appear well. We have our sunchokes plant. We have 3 plants that are almost towards the end of their season now, and I will be harvesting these in December. We have some broccoli plants that were growing since the last summer, and they're still producing small broccoli heads, which is why I've just kept them as is for now. We planted some shallots in between, some bunching onions, and they're extremely small right now, so you really can't see them that well. And we have some more cabbages and romanesco plants here. You can see that due to the aphids on the kale plant, these plants are severely affected by the aphids, but hopefully they will recover. And that completes the tour of our raised bed garden. I also wanted to show you our walk-in greenhouse. You can see our walk-in greenhouse here. We got it for the winter season. We are growing a lot of seedlings here, including some fenugreek and some other seedlings. And we got these black containers which will hold all these plants. And all the plants are growing quite well. They're doing well. So all in all, this solution is great. I'll provide a link to this product in the video description. We also have a thermometer, records the temperature and also the maximum and minimum temperature, perfect for a greenhouse. And moving on to our container garden, we have a couple of cauliflowers growing in this whiskey barrel container, followed by our okra. As you can see, we have trimmed our okra and are preparing it for the winter season. Our millionaire eggplant is also ready for the winter. As you can see, we have trimmed it and it should hold well. We have some garlic that we planted in this container. Hopefully they'll emerge soon. And our carrots are maturing quite well in this container. You can see the carrots, they are beginning to form now. And we have our pea plants. We thought we'll give it one more shot, sow in some pea and see how they perform. We have some shallots that are growing in the next container. Hopefully they'll be bigger soon. Followed by our hyacinth bean. This is the vining type hyacinth bean that has also been trimmed quite a lot. Our mint plant is doing okay. It's in this container in this corner. Followed by our bok choy, also called pak choy. The leaves can be harvested and they taste quite good. We have a few kohlrabi plants that are growing in this container. And this container doesn't get a lot of sunlight. So you can see the plant is growing very slowly. And our Malabar spinach plant, which has more seeds now than leaves. We sowed some lab beans just to see how they would do. So this is just an experiment. We'll see how they grow. Some more carrots in this container that are also maturing. And our tomato plant. This is our cherry tomato plant. We did harvest some tomatoes from this plant this month. And our black beauty eggplant that is also now ready for winter. We have 2 more cauliflower plants growing in this whiskey barrel container. And that concludes the tour of our container garden. Now let's look at the things for you to do in your garden this month. Beginning with composting. So with all the winds and the fall season upon us, you will get a lot of leaves. And this is an excellent opportunity to turn this into leaf mold by composting it. So all you do is mix in some kitchen scraps which you already have been with these leaves, these dried leaves. And these leaves have a lot of nutrients in them that are very beneficial to your soil. So make sure you compost all your leaves. And I'm using a tumbling composter here. I'll provide a link to this product in the comments below. And this helps you create leaf mold and compost that are extremely beneficial to your soil. And you can see here in the left chamber, we already have our finished compost. And we will be adding this to our soil. And let me show you how to do that. So we have all our compost collected here. All our kitchen scraps and leftover plant roots and everything. And all we do is just mulch it from the top first. So just spread it around on the top. Now for those of you who like no-till gardening, you can just use this as a mulch. Just lay it on top of your plants just like that and spread it out. Or you can mix it into your soil like I do. But before that, we're going to be adding some worm castings. These are the Vermistera worm castings. It's an excellent product. And you can use this link that you see here to order this product. And all you do is just add in the worm castings into your raised bed. And I've been using these worm castings for quite some time. They are a great amendment to your soil. And then I mix it in, just like you see here. And the reason I mix it in is because it helps me remove all the roots that are there, the older plant roots. And also remove any kind of trash like plastic or anything that's remaining there. And then I just spread it out. And it does wonders for your garden. The next tip we have for you in this episode is how to space out onions for bigger bulbs. So to do this, the first step is to trim the tops of the onions, the onion greens. And the bonus part is that you get greens to eat. And then you just remove the soil around the onion bulbs, just like that. And what this does is it lets your onion plants grow bigger bulbs. So these onions that we have been growing since summer are now developing bigger bulbs. So we have done this in our raised bed. And here you can see we are trimming the tops of our green bunching onions. And you can use these greens right away. And once it's done, you can just remove the soil around your onion bulbs and they will look great and produce amazing onion bulbs. So this is a neat tip that I thought you all should know to grow bigger and better onions. In the gardening products section of this episode, we will be reviewing Gorton Solution with Humic and Fulvic acids. Now what exactly is Gorton Solution? Well, it's a liquid plant growth enhancer that amends soil while maximizing the health and growth of the plants. It's not a fertilizer. It helps plants use the fertilizer products more efficiently. It helps manage the pH levels of the soil, and since most soils typically have higher pH than what plants prefer, the solution lowers the level in the soil and water combination. And the solution also contains essential nutrients that are vital building blocks for the plant cells and also for chlorophyll production. It has no effect on beneficial insects and will not hurt the plants in any way. So how well does this product stand up to its claims? Let's find out. So this is a sponsored review. This product was sent to me for review by the company. And the way you use it is you mix in the indicated proportions in a watering can. In this case, I'm using 1 capful per gallon of water. We have a 2-gallon watering can, so I'm using 2 capfuls. And you just mix it in with water, and this is how the product is supposed to be used. The first place we will be trying out this solution is on our jasmine plant. This is an Arabian jasmine plant that, although I've fed a lot of fertilizer and nutrients to this plant, is not growing that well. So let's see what happens after 4 weekly applications of this solution. And as you can see, it looks a lot better. The leaves are healthier. The plant overall shows much better growth. So this was just a quick test. We will now move on to a detailed test on how this plant performs when growing bush beans. Now for our potting mix, we are going to be using exactly the same potting mix for 2 containers. We have 1 part peat moss, and we add in a little bit of perlite. The perlite will help with the drainage as well as adequate aeration of the potting mix. And we add in an equal part of compost. Now this mix of peat moss, compost and perlite is one of the best potting mixes you can use for your plants. And we then just mix it all in very well. And we are going to be using the identical potting mix for both these containers. Now let's get to planting. We have these bush bean plants, and I've tried to make sure that I use similar sized plants for the test. And you can see that here we are planting these bush bean plants. And after planting 2, I thought there was space for 1 more, so I eventually ended up planting 3 in each container. But you can see the plants, they look almost similar health-wise when we are transplanting them. And that makes a fair comparison when we look at the results of what the solution does. Alright, so let the test begin. This is plant A. Plant A is the plant that will only be fed with water. And plant G will be the plant that will be fed with the Gorton solution. So we'll be watering this plant, as you see here, as and when needed. So whenever the plants are thirsty, the soil is dry, we'll be using water in the first container for plant A. And then for plant G, we will be using the Gorton solution with humic and fulvic acids. So we mix in 1 capful of this solution and then water plant G, which will receive the Gorton solution, all things being the same. That is all that we'll be doing for these 2 plants. Alright, 9 days since planting, you can see the growth on both these plants, and they're exactly in the same spot. They get the same amount of sunlight, they have the same amount of nutrients, and you can see in increments how the plants look like. And we're going to start harvesting at 30 days, and we're going to keep a track of how many we harvest from plant A, which is our comparison plant with the plant that was fed with the Gorton solution. And we will continue looking at these harvests. So let's see how many bean pods each one of these plants produces, and we'll do a tally at the end. So enjoy looking at these harvests, and when we are done, we will tally up and see which plant won. So this is our last harvest at 58 days, and at this stage the plant that was being fed with water only and not the solution stopped producing any more bean pods. So you can see the harvest tally here. The plant that was fed with the Gorton Solution with Humic and Fulvic acids yielded twice as more than the one that was fed just with water. So you can make your own judgment and choose wisely if you need this product. And cost wise, I think it's not too bad. You can check out the website for the pricing, and here are all the details for checking out the pricing and ordering this product online. So all in all, it was a pleasure testing this product, and you are now more informed as to whether to buy this product or not for your own purposes. Next, we will look at the ViparSpectra grow lights. Now the reason I review a lot of grow lights is for you to look at how these grow lights look like, how they are designed, and also make an informed decision on which grow lights you need to buy. And let's start unboxing the product now. So as you can see here, these are the grow lights. This is the XS1500 series, which is supposed to cover an area of 2 feet by 2 feet for growing your plants. The product came very well packaged. The grow light was very secure inside this styrofoam box. And you can see here the grow lights as well as all the included accessories are here. The power cables as well. And this is the user manual. So pretty much everything that you need for the grow lights is included in the package. And now let's open up the actual grow light. So you can see here, these are the LEDs in the grow light. This is the ViparSpectra LED grow lights. And these are Samsung LEDs, which are very high quality. So the light output is pretty good compared to a lot of other grow lights that are there in the market. And this is the power cord. As you can see, the power cord, the grow lights, they're all very well built. They seem to be of very good quality. And these are the supports. This will be used to secure the grow light to your harness or directly to the wall as you plan to use it. And I found this harness a little longer. I wish the harness was a little small. But you can see here the supports are all included, the clips are included. So overall, it's a good package with everything that you need to get started with your grow lights. And this is the harness. I call them suspenders because they help you suspend the grow lights. So the key is to keep the grow light at a height where your plants will grow the best. Now it doesn't really apply to larger plants, but for smaller plants, you want your grow lights to be very close. And once again, this is a user manual. And this is the LED driver. As you can see, it will connect to the power cable, which is also quite well built. The connectors are quite solid. The quality is pretty good. And these plug into standard 110 volt outlets. And here you can see the power cord connected to the LED driver. And we now attach the harness or the area which connects to the harness using clips. And these strings are easy to attach. They just clip right on top of the grow light. And there are 4 supports. Let's take a closer look on the other side. This is how the clips go in. And it was pretty easy to attach these clips to the harness. And this is how a grow light looks like once it's there on the ceiling. As you can see, it's very easy to suspend this grow light. And the LEDs, they are a full spectrum LED light. There's also a very nice dimmer located on the side. As you can see here, the dimmer can be used to control the intensity of the light. And remember, this is not a full review of this grow light. This is just unboxing the grow light and setting it up. I will be doing a detailed growing guide review for this grow light to see how the plants grow under this grow light. And this will take about 4 to 8 weeks, so I'll have an update very soon. Now the XS1500 has a very good lumen output, which is a very important requirement for a grow light. And the package includes all the necessary accessories that you need to continue setting up your grow light. So all in all, it looks like a very good package, and I'll provide an update soon as to how this grow light performed indoors. So there we have it, folks. That was our episode on the California garden for the month of November. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and click the bell button to get all future notifications. We'll see you again soon. Happy gardening.